Stranger Things actress Sadie Sink was involved in sort of a web kerfuffle when rumors began to circulate that she would appear in Spider-Man 4 and portray possibly Mary Jane Watson, Firestar, or Jean Grey of the X-Men. In a recent interview, she downplayed those rumors, but really only ruled out one.
Cause I've been living life right like I could just die any minute. Going for a ride down the
Hi everyone, my name is Jacob Berry. Welcome to the StudioJake vidcast where I talk about all things pop culture. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, and if you're watching on YouTube, ring that little bell so you get notifications when I post a new vidcast and consider becoming a channel member. Okay, so last week I talked about the rumors that Sadie Sink had been cast in Spider-Man 4. Now, this was kind of pitched around the internet that this was official. She had been cast in Spider-Man 4, but no one knew for what role. Wildly, it was speculated that she would portray Mary Jane Watson, Jean Grey of the X-Men, also known as Red, Marvel Girl, or the Phoenix. Felicia Hardy came up, as well as a variety of other characters. Now, I said more than likely she was either going to be Firestar or Mary Jane. Well, Sadie Sink herself decided to kind of downplay the rumors of a Marvel meeting at all, but she really only ruled out one character. This is according to Murphy's Multiverse. Now, the start of the article goes into sort of the tradition of actors lying about potential roles or appearances in film, including Paul Rudd as Ant-Man, as well as Andrew Garfield's appearance in Spider-Man No Way Home. The writer talks about this a little bit and then goes into covering the interview that Sadie Sink did. In a recent interview with Josh Horowitz, Sink, whose MCU role remains a mystery, refused to acknowledge having met with Marvel, at least over one role in particular. "This is news to me," said Sink, when asked about potentially portraying Jean Grey in the MCU. When the Stranger Things star was pushed a little further about whether she'd ever had a conversation with anyone at Marvel about the character, Sink said, "No, I can't. No, I have nothing to say about this." And so while Sink never denied meeting with Marvel about a role, she certainly wasn't about to entertain any further conversations along those lines. "Those rumors are really cool, though," said Sink, hoping to turn the conversation back toward Gray and possibly away from a follow-up question by Horowitz about what role she did have conversations about. "It's an awesome rumor." Horowitz made one last effort to try to lure the truth out of Sink, asking if she knew the character of Gray before asking if the actress would be up for the type of long-term commitment landing such a role would entail. "Yeah, I know the character. It's a great character," said Sink of Gray, who has been a central figure in both Fox's original X-Men films and the studio's more recent efforts. "I think that's super exciting," said Sink of the possibility of landing a role that would potentially consume a decade or more of her career, and that was all she had to say about it. And again, Murphy's Multiverse continues to discuss how Marvel is dodgy with castings and whatnot. So it does seem that Sadie Sink is denying that she met with Marvel about the role of Jean Grey, but she left it more up in the air if she's going to play a potential other role. Horowitz didn't ask about Mary Jane Watson, Felicia Hardy, or Firestar, so this narrows it down to at least three possibilities. And I have to applaud Sadie Sink's, focus on not discussing this. But anyway, so Mary Jane, again, I think this one is the most likely. Sadie Sink is a natural ginger, and I'm so glad that, at least for this character, Disney is not going to participate in the ginger side, where redheaded characters are often replaced with race swapped ones. So I'm glad that that is definitely a possibility. Now, some people have speculated that because of Michelle Jones, which was Zendaya's character in the first three of the Disney MCU films, that she'll be a variant of Mary Jane Watson. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think that they'll just introduce Mary Jane Watson, but they won't call her MJ. They'll just call her Mary Jane over and over again. I think that's kind of where that's going to land. As for Felicia Hardy, I expressed my reservations about that possibility of Sink portraying that character, because if Sony does decide to continue their Sony Spider-Man universe, which I don't think they will, but they definitely had kind of a connection to that character. And so I don't think that they would. And I think if they did decide to do Felicia Hardy, they would do a different actress, one who's more connected to action films. Now, as for Firestar, I would love to see this because she could go pretty well into the MCU. She was a member of the New Warriors, and I went through the history of the New Warriors connection with Spider-Man, and in particular, the Ben Reilly version of Spider-Man. I won't rehash that here. You can go back to my previous video and watch it, but I think that that would be more in line because that would be a good way for the MCU to introduce a new character into that. Now, a few people have said Gwen Stacy is a possibility, but I have to be honest, I don't think Disney is going to use Gwen Stacy. I think that the Amazing Spider-Man duology, I think that had a lock on that character, and they're just going to draw up comparisons to those films. So I don't think she's going to be Gwen Stacy. So I think now it's going to come down to two: Mary Jane Watson and Firestar. I could be wrong. As the outlet I just read has said, Marvel is known for allowing their actors and their actresses to lie on screen. So Sadie Sink could just be playing coy, not wanting to directly lie, but also kind of pushing away. But I don't think she's going to be Jean Grey. I think the X-Men are going to be introduced in a way different manner, especially if you go by how Deadpool and Wolverine worked. I want to address something else about Spider-Man 4. Apparently, Sony and Disney were kind of warring on what Spider-Man 4 should be. Kevin Feige, in particular, wanted it to be a more grounded story where he battles a character like Kingpin, and that the team up, because according to the Disney deal with Sony, it has to be a team up movie. The team up would be with Daredevil, portrayed by Charlie Cox. Now, I think that would be really cool because Daredevil and Spider-Man have a lot of history. Now, Sony's producer Amy Pascal, she actually isn't a part of Sony anymore, but she's managed to attach herself to the Spider-Man films, kind of like a barnacle. She wants it to be like another multiverse level story. Hopefully, Kevin Feige will win that argument. I think that it should be a more grounded story because that would be a good way to bring in Mary Jane. Maybe they could write her in as she was originally in the comic book. She was a supermodel. She did all kinds of fashion magazines and things like that. They could bring her in that way. Maybe she's the witness to a crime and Spider-Man and Daredevil have to protect her. Maybe that's how Matt Murdock comes in, as he is her lawyer. Maybe they could do something like that. Disney, if you're watching, Marvel Studios, if you're watching, Sony, if you're watching, I think that this is the way to go. Do that more grounded and realism sort of Spider-Man story. That's what us fans have been working for. And also ignore what they're doing at the comics. For some reason, Nick Lowe, I guess he's one of the editors at Marvel, he hates Spider-Man and Mary Jane. He hates Peter Parker being married to Mary Jane. And I think that's really sad that their ego is so butthurt over the fan rejection of the fallout of One More Day that they're willing to sacrifice it. Ignore him altogether. Kevin Feige, go forward and bring back that classic Peter Parker and Mary Jane Watson relationship. Have them get married in the films, and I guarantee you that movie will join the $1 billion club. Fans are so desperate to see that relationship restored. Tom Holland and Sadie Sink, hopefully they'll have good chemistry on screen, especially if Sadie Sink is playing a girlfriend character to Spider-Man. I also hope that they don't make Mary Jane a superhero in this. I think it's really annoying that all of Spider-Man's girlfriends at this point have become some sort of superhero. It's dumb, with Gwen Stacy literally being grave robbed by the Marvel editors to become another more violent version of Gwenpool. Mary Jane becoming, I think her name is Jackpot in the comics. Betty Brant became a shield agent, I think, or some sort of secret agent. Felicia Hardy, of course, became Black Cat. It is incredibly dumb that they are repeating that same story over and over again. So Marvel Studios, don't do that. Just keep it real. If you like that video, be sure to give it a like, share it out to all your friends, leave me a comment, tell me what you think, ring that little bell so you get notifications when I post a new vidcast. And if you want to support the channel, become a channel member. Don't forget, you can also check out my locals community. You can also support me there by becoming a monthly member or sending my articles tips. Either way helps me out. And if you want even more pop culture content, head on over to my website, StudioJakeMedia.com, where I have even more articles about comic books, about anime, about TV, about film, music, books, and so much more. You are going to be blown away by how much content I have over there. So head on over, check it out, and subscribe to your email address or the WordPress app. I've written books, so you can check them out. I've got 4 of them out right now. They're all on Amazon.com. Just search my name or the title of the book. You can find out more information, again, on my website about these books. Pick one or all 4 up and leave me a 5-star review. It really helps out small indie creators like myself. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time right here on Studio Jake.
Cause I've been living life right like I